Hi, my name is Maeve Press from Everything's Gonna Be Okay, and a lot of fun talking on Spoiler Country podcast. Yeah, yes, that bumper.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome back. We are here with Spoiler Country. I'm Renee, and Kenric will be joining us shortly. Exciting times. We never know when Kenric will join us. I'm joined by Maeve Press, who stars as Genevieve on the critically acclaimed Freeform series, Everything's Gonna Be Okay, season 1 and 2. And so thanks for being here today, Maeve. It's great to have you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing pretty good. I did lose my glasses this morning,
Oh
so
no.
my day has been a bit off. Desperately trying to look around for them, but other than that, I am blind and okay.
Do you have like a really strong prescription?
I think it's getting worse every day.
Mm,
It's
I
just
I go ahead.
it's not great. I'm definitely getting blinder every single day that I forget to wear them too. Just not, that's on me though. That's not anyone else's fault.
I feel like without my glasses, it's like that's why I wear contacts because I know I would lose my glasses, right? So I'm like, oh, thank gosh for my contacts. Like, yeah.
I need to start wearing those.
uh, yeah, they're convenient. I will say that. For those who maybe don't know, or who are coming new to your show, can you tell us a little bit about Everything's Going to Be Okay? Is
Yeah.
it going to be okay?
Oh gosh, I hope so. I feel like the years we've had, we all deserve to be a bit okay. Gosh, so the show is about a 20-something-year-old Australian guy who comes to live with his dad and his half sisters in America, in California. And just as he's about to go back home to Australia, his dad is diagnosed with cancer and then dies. And now he's the sole guardian of his two sisters, his two teenage sisters, one of which has autism. Um, so it's very much an unconventional family. They were really all thrown together, and it takes especially Genevieve, who I play, a bit longer to get used to this new normal.
Yeah, and I noticed that your character, right, like is in high school, and you're not that far out of high school. And so I'm curious, how was it playing, like the scenes where you were in high school and, you know, like experiencing, high school's not that easy of a time for some people. So I'm curious, like, how was that acting in those scenes?
Yeah, so I'm in my senior year, so I'm just finishing up high school right now. But when I started filming season one, I had just started high school. I was in kind of my first year or two of high school. So I was experiencing all these things in my real life and also on the show. So it was kind of like a double dose of awkward teenage moments, which I guess it was fun. I got to have almost like a second chance with Genevieve, which was really nice. But I think it's nice. It's fun to get to play a real teenager with silly, real little high school problems, and nothing is super drastic. It's just like she has a crush on this boy who won't talk to her, and she's not doing well in this class, and it's kind of like the little everyday things that kids in high school are dealing with, and we just kind of let her live.
And I think that's like so cool because it's, it brings that sort of like authenticity to the role, right? Because you're experiencing it in real life and you're playing it on the show. And I'm curious, like with the show, you have these two co-stars that are your new family. How was it working with them, and how's it been working on the show? Now you're in season 2. Do you feel more comfortable, or is it?
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, yeah.
No, I love them. I think the moment that I met Josh, it was flew to California to do like the final auditions for the show, and we sat down on a couch in the casting office and just talked for like an hour and a half before I did the actual audition with him. And we just talked about stand up because he started comedy very young, and so did I. And so we sort of bonded over having to deal with like growing up in this adolescence and also doing comedy. And so we sort of bonded over that. And that helped when we started to film. It kind of grew. I love them, and they're definitely family. And whatever chemistry is on screen is very much off screen as well, which is just it's very comforting. Especially this year, I couldn't have my mom on set, so I didn't have anyone to talk to on set. Like I usually will talk with my mom a lot, so it was very nice to have them around.
Nice.
Family, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's always nice to have someone that you can like relate to, right? And this idea of like, oh, we went through this similar experience, and it's like, oh, okay, like now we can bond over that. Speaking of stand-up, now when I was like reading, learning about your background and you're like performing in all these clubs, right? Like I immediately had a like Ms. Maisel moment in my head, right? Where I'm like, I just imagined you like, in these clubs and these bars, like, fighting for your place. And like, you're like, I'm going to take all these guys out, right? So, maybe correct me a little bit. How really was it doing stand up, in the East Coast and at these bars and these festivals?
Oh, it's amazing. I always really, really had this need to make people laugh and to be laughed at. I always just really felt very comfortable in that position. And so I started doing stand up when I was about 11, and I haven't wanted to stop since. It's just like, it's very much my happy place is on a stage talking to people and making jokes. And I did a few shows during COVID, but I'm going to get back up soon now that clubs are opening up. And I'm fully vaccinated, and there's clubs that are allowing fully vaccinated people to be audiences, which is that's way more comfortable. I was horrified to take my mask off in front of people. I still am. But I think for comedy, I would risk it. I would take my mask off in front of other vaccinated people and not feel ashamed of this part of my face.
I feel that where I'm like, have I shown this part of my face, like the lower half of my face, to people? I don't think I have. I'm almost like, don't look, right? Like,
horrifying.
Yeah.
Should be shown at all, actually.
I'm almost happy to wear masks like in the future, right? I'm like, yes, let's keep wearing them. I think like let's keep going with the mask thing. I'm okay with this. But.
You and I will never take them off.
Yeah. Do you have any like fun stories from your stand-up before COVID? Were there any like memorable moments that were, like I think about there's always like something that's going down in the stand-up world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did some really fun shows before COVID. So the first show I ever did, like outside, I did a camp called Kids in Comedy, and that was the first sets I ever did. And I did a first week and it went really well. And then I signed up for a second week and I bombed. I did an absolutely horrendous performance. Like I disappointed everyone's grandmother. It was horrible. And the set I did right after that was probably my favorite set I've ever done. And it wasn't very good. Like I have a video of that set, which was sort of like my first real set. And it was horrible. I was a really, really bad comic in that set. But I had like just turned 12 and I was talking about class pictures, but also about like questions I had about the world with all these adult women who were talking about sex and about all these things. And all of it went right over my head. And so it's fun to kind of look back at those moments where I genuinely was like, these people are not only my friends, but we're also all talking about the same things and we're all making the same funny jokes about our life. And I didn't understand anything. So I guess I kind of miss the innocence I had in those first few sets before I truly I got it and I understood what I was being told.
Do you feel like you get it now? You're like, oh, okay.
So I've taken enough health classes to understand what I'm being told now. Less innocent, a little bit less innocent because of
A little bit.
stand.
So I imagine that like through all this, like the show, your comedy career, you might have like met a lot of people that you were looking up to, when you first started. Like who have you met anyone who has been really like someone cool that you're like, oh, I can't believe it.
So I don't know if I technically met them, but I did a show with Chelsea Peretti, who I think is hilarious. And I'm a massive Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan. And I think she's wonderful. And I did a set with her. And I went directly after her, which like no one really wanted to see me after that. And I fully understand. I also would not have wanted to see somebody like me get up on that stage after her. But I walked right past her and I kind of like was looking at her while I was walking up and I just couldn't take my eyes off of her. I was like, she's in the hallway and she just did stand up and now I have to go do stand up too. But that doesn't make sense. So I think that was a very kind of like a bit of a moment of like, that's such an incredible comedian and it's very cool to get to do a show with her.
So Chelsea Peretti opened for you is what I'm hearing from that story.
Yes. Well, I should have talked to you beforehand. Yeah, that's me.
Like,
no, I'm gonna put that on my resume. That's gonna be it.
Yeah. So, you've made it now, right? You've got these big headliners opening for you. So yeah. I saw that you're a big fan of Tig Notaro, and I like am such a huge fan. Like Tig is just so amazing, right? Like I could just gush and gush and gush. I'm curious, like, do you see yourself being more like her type of comedy? Do you have like a style of comedy that you gravitate towards more, or
Yeah.
like
yeah. I think I definitely her type of comedy. It's very much she's a bold comedian without being incredibly over the top out there. Like the set she did, I think it was on Conan, where she just pushed a stool for like 5 minutes on the stage and that's it. And that was her set. And I remember watching that and then rewatching it and rewatching it because I was so amazed that she didn't speak and yet she had the entire crowd laughing. And she just, you leave one of her shows like crying from laughing, but also questioning the world. And that's very much like what George Carlin did as well. So I think that's definitely the type of comedy. It's like storytelling comedy, which is where I feel very much I've kind of found my place in.
Yeah, I love that kind of comedy that makes you think, right? And like is like, oh, like I'm not just laughing, I'm now, sort of like reminiscing or pondering like different things. And I feel like a lot of shows and a lot of comedians are moving towards that a lot more, and it's like really great to see, that we're able to embrace, oh, I think we just got Kenric on the line. I was like, surprise!
It really happened.
It
worked. I'm so sorry for being late, Maeve. Renee, it's
nice to see you.
I'm glad to see you. That's amazing. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I was like, and then I had Renee sign in as me so she could start the meeting. And I felt so old because I had to scroll 3 times to put my birth year in. You're getting old when you got to keep scrolling. It's like 1974 isn't that far away, is it really? Oh my God, it is.
Those times though, it's insane. I you can scroll down to like 1847 now.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you were born in 1847 and you're still playing video games, then kudos to you. That's a prodigy right there.
Right. I listened to your some of your stand-up.
Oh, thank you.
You're so funny. I was gonna start the whole interview by going, yes, girl. Maeve Press.
I'm glad somebody remembered.
I feel like I'm kind of butting in, so I'm just gonna worm my way in when you guys are going. And if you had a question, Renee, you're in the middle of, let's just keep going.
No, it's actually kind of good timing because we were just talking about comedy and that, you know, the sort of comedy that makes you think, not just laugh, right? That
Yeah.
like kind of you're left with, like it stays with you. So we were just chatting about that, and you know, feel free to jump on in with comedy questions.
Perfect. Actually, you know, I was wondering, you look so like you look comfortable on stage. You have people talking to you, shouting things out. You're incorporating them in right away. How many shows have you done already?
I don't know, maybe it definitely over 100. I think I could be lying, but I also want to sound impressive, so I'm going to go with over 100.
So 2,000 shows. Okay.
I've done easily 1 billion, maybe a little more.
When did you realize that comedy was your thing, that you wanted to be a stand-up? Because stand-up comedians are a quirky bunch. They're not the most, you know, a lot of them are self-deprecating. There's a lot of depression going on. And then, you know, they just they spew out this amazing stuff online or on stage, and, you know.
Yeah, I think you have to be self-deprecating to be a comedian.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks somebody who's confident is funny.
Right.
You have to hate yourself just a little bit, enough to make some good jokes.
Yeah.
I think I really love to make people laugh. My mom says that when I was a month old, that I did my first joke where I saw that she was making funny faces and my older sister was laughing. And so then I made those same faces to make her laugh. So that's the story I'm going to go with as my first joke. And technically my first set.
Do you remember your first written joke?
I think my first written joke was about
oh, my desk is freaking out on itself. I have a stand-up desk and it just decided I'm going to go all the way down. There you go. And locked. So that does not happen again.
Very impressive that you have a stand-up desk though.
You know what? When you get into your 40s, you really need to start standing. Like, because my day-to-day is a lot of sitting, a lot of sedentary kind of, you know, because I work in tech and I do this. Not really going out and running around anymore as much as I should be. So I had to have a desk that goes up and down so I can stand, because better for
my favorite was watching you go up and down as that was happening.
Weird?
It was like
feel like I was like totally and then I'm in my guest room that has like somebody slept in here last night, so it's completely unmade. So it's even better.
This is a great angle for you. So let's hope it stays right here.
I appreciate it. So your first written joke, that's what we were talking about.
So I wrote a joke about how there should be Make-A-Wish for old people. Because they're old and it's not like they had time to do stuff. You know, if they're procrastinators. So it was more talking about that, which it's one of my favorite jokes I've ever written. But I did do a set once where because I once was a child, shockingly, and so because
I had that job too once.
No, it's weird that they let us do that. It's a strange thing we've all participated in.
I was not ready. I didn't have any experience. I underperformed many times.
The only job you can get where you don't need like a BFA or something,
right?
Which is, it's nice, except for the fact that I did a show because they thought that because I was a kid, I'd be able to perform for children.
Yeah.
But I can't. And when I did that joke and one kid screamed that they didn't want to die. We were like 5 and 7-year-olds. That was about the oldest the crowd was. So
how old are you at the time?
I think I might have been 13.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Well, your delivery is I can't see you performing for kids.
Yeah, no.
Because your delivery is not you don't talk like you're talking to other 13-year-olds or even 17-year-olds. You're like, I'm doing stand-up, I'm in a bar, people are drinking, I'm gonna have a normal conversation. Well, whatever a normal conversation is, but
really, really do miss drunk people.
All about knowing your audience, right?
Yeah, you gotta know your audience. My first joke I ever wrote, I'm not a comedian, I don't write jokes, but I did write a joke when I was 4. And it was funny because I have 12. I hope I'm not missing money. 12 nieces and nephews. Yeah. And some great nieces and nephews. And I have my own kid. And they've all have repeated the joke because my mother decides to tell them the joke. And it's terrible. But I'm going to tell you because it's terrible.
I would love to.
Yeah. And it's knock, knock.
Who's there?
Robot.
Robot who?
Robot got your arm. And I grab your arm and then I run away. That's the joke. I don't get it. No, I don't get it today.
Dad used to do a joke like that too. He used to do the I've got your nose, and then he would like go like that and run away.
Right.
Which traumatized me as a kid. I was so protective of my face.
Get away. How was, so season 2, you guys are in the middle of it or getting close to the end of it, actually.
We have 2 more episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I didn't see Everything Is Okay up until a couple weeks ago. I'm working, it's lunch. I go upstairs because everybody's working from home right now. And Tafine and Ella are watching Everything Is Okay. And I sit down and I start watching. I'm like, what are you watching? And the first episode I saw is when Matilda loses her virginity.
Ooh, yeah.
And I was like, what are you watching? She's like, it's Everything Is Okay. It's amazing. And I just sat down and I watched we watched that whole first season in like a day and a half. We just binged the whole thing. And I thought you were great. I thought Josh Turner was amazing. I couldn't believe when I was watching him, just, I don't know. He made awkward funny, but he made awkward really comfortable.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, completely.
Yeah, and it was just like I could totally feel like the scene where they go into the principal's office and they have to have a conversation because your character has called this kid out. Yeah, and it was like, ooh, this is cringy because you're watching it and you're just like, ooh, how's this gonna go? And I like to think like if Ella goes through that when she is of age, that I would be a lot like Josh in that scene. You know what I mean? Just total protective, but in a very like she's still her own person kind of way. It was weird. It was really good.
Yeah, I got to punch the guy.
Yeah.
Who Matilda loses her virginity to, and we had a whole stunt coordinator who was teaching me how to do stunt punches. And I was so excited. I was like practicing how to punch super softly because I didn't want to hurt the guy. And then I got there and Josh came up to me and he went, punch me. And I went, what? And he went, just practice, punch me in the gut right now as hard as you can. And I went, Josh, I don't want to hurt you. Okay. And he went, just do it. And I punched him as hard as I can. And he laughed, which was not really great for my ego. And so that was an interesting day.
Yeah.
It was it was fun, but also a bit heartbreaking. Apparently I'm not as strong as I thought I was.
Well, you look really strong, so I'm kind of surprised. What does your parents think of you being on the show and having all these accolades coming your way? Are they supportive? Are they apprehensive about you going? Because you had that, it looked like you guys shot in New York, but I think you're from New York. Is that right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, so that must have been like, you're just in your backyard for you. See, I'm from Seattle and I've never actually been to New York City except through the airport. So
yeah. It was, we filmed the season 1 finale in New York, but everything else was in Agora Hills.
Yeah.
It was in a studio in Van Nuys.
Yeah.
But my parents are both from the arts. My mom was a stand-up. She did stand-up, and my parents are both writers, so and filmmakers. So I came from that world.
Okay.
And then my sisters are also performers, so it's very much, it could be so strange if I was like, I want to be a doctor. They would be like, no,
No.
I don't think that's right. No, they were really very happy.
Going for my CPA, Mom.
They'd be so disappointed in me if I told them I wanted to be a lawyer.
You should just start having, like, bring out your laptop, have a bunch of Excel spreadsheets, and I'm studying for my CPA, Mom. I'm going to be a certified public accountant. It's going to happen. I got to have a backup.
They get kicked out, but I'll try it.
But see, now I'm imagining like family shows, right? And
Yeah.
like how, like, this whole like,
Charades
it's
must be
the
amazing.
holiday. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, do you all do like group performances, and can I attend? Is there tickets for this? Like,
There used to be tickets, and we used to do it. I used to put up performances with my sisters, and I would walk around with a top hat and collect money from my parents and family members. Never real money. It was always Monopoly money, which is highly disappointing because I feel like I could have been very rich by now. It's quality performances. But no, we've retired since we've all gone solo.
What's after everything is okay? Are you going to really focus on comedy? Because I feel like you got a natural gift there. But beyond that, are you interested in doing more than just everything is okay at some point?
Yeah. So right now I am writing a solo show about the year I was homeschooled by my retired psychologist grandfather when I was 8 in upstate New York. So I'm writing that down right now. And then I filmed a short film with Maria Danford, who is in the second season of our show, called Too Many Buddhas, with Maeve Press, who is my mom. And every time I say it, I always forget to say her real name because I completely forget that she isn't mom to everyone. It's so strange to remember that our parents have real lives. And
right. You got to say their name.
But I remembered it this time. I've said her name this time. So I guess that's progress.
My 7-year-old only calls me by my first name, so it's okay.
I would be so scared. I had a friend like that who called his parents by his first name, by their not his first name.
Right.
That's weird.
Hey, Kevin. No, your name's Kevin. No, I'm calling you Kevin. Yeah, she has since she was, since she could talk. Really, she always just called me. She couldn't say Kenric forever, and so she would say Carrot.
That's adorable.
Carrot, and now she says Carrot, and then, but it's fine. I don't really care about the labels, so
Hopefully my parents don't either, because I've been screwing up their names. I never remember them. I can't remember how to spell them. I can't remember their names sometimes.
How about their birthdays? Do you remember their birthdays okay?
Sometimes.
I only ever remember my mom's because it was June 15th. And that always came out around the time you got out of school for the summer. So it was like, oh, we're getting out of school. Mom's birthday's coming up. I had 3 other siblings, couldn't remember any of their birthdays. I was the youngest. And then I can never remember my dad's either. So it was,
difficult to remember.
Never mind spelling their names.
God, no. Can't at all. But I did that with my mom. And we're making it into a feature film right now. So that's fun. It's fun. It's really very nice to work with her.
Yeah.
It's cool to get to come from that family. Come from this family. Yes, come from this family. Not that family. I am a part of the family. So I guess it's this family.
Oh. So go ahead, Renee.
Oh, I was just going to say, what is Too Many Buddhas about?
Yeah, so
Can you tell us?
Yeah, it's about a girl named Nora, and she goes to her therapy appointment, and she comes from this all-school concert that she just did a horrendous flute performance at, and then immediately afterwards learned that her flute teacher had died. So Nora's not having a great day, and so she goes to therapy, and there's a bunch of twists and turns.
Too Many Buddhas.
I feel like I'm sensing like a therapy theme here, right? Like with the grandfather, right? And too many Buddha. I'm like, is this like something you've like explored deeply, this like therapy trope?
So I think because my mom was obviously raised by two therapists. And so then when she raised us, and we were also even raised by our grandparents, it definitely, therapy was a very, very big thing. I was being like, I would be in appointments and like therapy appointments without meaning to be in them.
Yeah.
I eventually learned that when my grandmother said, let's go talk on the stairwell, it was, you need therapy and I'm going to give it to you right now, which was nice. It was very easy to talk in my family.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. When I heard you, not heard, I saw you do an interview, and I don't remember the name of the show that it was on, but it was on, I saw it on YouTube, and you had the whole, it was you and Josh and Mason and is it Kelly? Is that right?
Sorry.
Cromer?
Oh, Kayla. Yes.
Kayla, yeah. Sorry.
These are hard.
Yeah. Well, just remember everybody's names can be difficult. But anyways, Josh was talking about wanting to make, like, he was told, do you want child actors that are emancipated from their parents? And that was the first time I've ever heard this. I've heard kids getting emancipated, but not particularly in Hollywood so that they can work longer hours. I was like, what? That's a thing? And were you ever asked to do that, or did you know what I mean? Or is your parents like, nah, that's not happening?
So my parents never wanted me to. I was in an audition once where they asked me if I was emancipated, and I said, like the proclamation, and he did not laugh. So the answer is no. I've never been emancipated, and at this point, I'm not going to be.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's just, I was just thought it was weird. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, a lot of people do it because you can work adult hours and all that. But I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I really liked the mandatory snack breaks that they gave me when I was underage, and I did not want to risk those go.
Do you have any more comedy shows coming up? Are you just working on the one, or are you going and keeping your craft tight and clever and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, I've been writing a ton during the pandemic, and I'm going to start doing some shows. I'm going to start booking them now. Like I said, I'm vaccinated, and a lot of shows are allowing only vaccinated people to be in their audience. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting back.
Yeah.
And feeling safer to kind of do my normal thing on stage and not feel anxious that I could be taking my mask off in front of unvaccinated people.
I don't blame you. I'm fully vaccinated and I still wear my mask, and I walked into a Kohl's and I completely forgot my mask. And I was like, oh, did you guys have a mask? And she's like, are you vaccinated? I'm like, yeah. She was like, it doesn't matter. But I'm like, but I think the people around would feel better if I have a mask because everybody's wearing one. So I'll wear one if you have it. So she pulled out a box and gave me a mask. But I just think it's kind of cool that they're starting to open things up.
Yeah, it's going to be nice to get back to a new normal.
I wanted to ask, what is it like? Because you're in the throes of it now, being 17, being a comedian, going to different stages, performing. When you go and say, yeah, I'd like to book a show, or your manager goes and gets your gigs. I don't know how that works. So if I'm asking you wrong, just tell me. What is that like though, when they meet you and they're like, oh, you're under 21 and you're going to go and perform? And I'm curious, how do you deal with that? And how do you, ease their mind, as you will?
Yeah. So my dad's been coming with me to almost every set I've ever done since I started. But yeah, there was a lot of sets where they wouldn't let me in because I was under 18 and under 21. But it's if the place you're performing, the stage is in the exact same room as the bar, then they're not going to let me in at all.
Right.
But if they are in separate rooms, even if they are serving alcohol, a lot of times I could kind of push my way in. And eventually I was doing enough shows in New York where people knew who I was, and they recognized me. And so they would let me in just because I was starting to build up a bit of a reputation as kind of like this younger comic. Which was nice. I was allowed to kind of bend the rules a bit.
what feels better to you, the acting or the comedy?
I don't know.
That's a hard question.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard question. I think I'm obviously like a bit more myself. It's definitely a little scarier sometimes doing stand up, just because it's just me on the stage, and if I mess up, there's sort of no, there's no cut and there's no person to kind of like look and see what they're doing and try to get back on beat. But it's fun. I have kind of this freedom I could just stand on stage and do my set. I could just talk to somebody for the entire show. I could say absolutely nothing and just stare at them.
Right.
It's really fun to kind of have a freedom of like, these people are here to laugh and I'm going to hopefully do that or just talk to them. And then acting is fun because you get to be somebody else.
Yeah.
And I always had a lot of trouble kind of figuring out what I wanted to be when I grew up and kind of what I wanted to do. And so acting always felt like the best option because I could hopefully continue to do acting and sort of be anyone and be anything, which is very it's fun.
That's cool. How long? What was the first time you did comedy? How clear is that memory? Like on stage, stand up, going. You know what I mean? Because I remember I was listening to some comedian talk, and it might have been. Was it Jerry Seinfeld or it's either Jerry Seinfeld or why is the name escaping me? He's like the biggest comic in the world right now. Oh my God, he did that movie Half Baked, Renee. Who am I thinking of?
Oh no.
Black guy, tall, skinny, super funny. Oh my Lord. Why am I blanking on his name? That is ridiculous.
Are you looking it up? Because I actually do need to know the name now.
Yeah, I am looking it up. Oh my gosh. Dave Chappelle. How can I forget Dave Chappelle?
I was thinking Dave Chappelle, and then I was like, oh God, if I say Dave Chappelle and it's not Dave Chappelle, like I'm not
right. No, Dave Chappelle. I think it was him. It's either him but it's kind of funny because those guys started like at the same time, which is weird. But he was talking about the clearest memories for him are the first time he got on stage and the last time he got on stage, and everything else is whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, what was the first time like?
Yeah, the first time I ever did stand up, well, it was at the camp I did at Gotham Comedy Club called Kids in Comedy in New York, and it was this little tiny improv comedy camp, and I had signed up for it because it was summer and I was doing nothing, and my mom was disappointed in me for doing nothing. She said I had to do something. So she signed me up for a comedy class, and I wrote a tiny little set about all the trauma that I was supposed to have experienced by the age 11, and then I did my comedy set. I think the 2 weeks, and it went really, really well.
Nice.
It was like it was a moment where I got off stage and I was like, that was a really great feeling, and I want that feeling again.
Right.
So I signed up for a second week.
Oh, that's awesome.
I said it went horrible.
Oh, really?
Really bad, yeah.
You get overconfident?
Oh God, no, I think I might have been. Yeah, I might have been a bit overconfident and been like, yeah, this is easy. Of course they're gonna laugh. They already laughed once.
Right.
And turns out that that's not how comedy works. And sometimes people just don't like you.
Yeah.
It's kind of been this endless cycle of hell almost, of needing to make people doing really, really well and wanting that feeling again, and then bombing and needing to redeem yourself.
Right.
So I'm sort of happily stuck in that now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait to see what you do next. And I don't know if you go on tour with your comedy and you come up to Seattle, I'm definitely coming to see you because Renee and I will be there because we actually live not too far away from each other. So
Cool.
I was like, please come to Seattle. Like, we would love to see you.
I will come just to Seattle.
Yeah, there you go. Score. So how is it like having your parents that are in the arts? They must really be able to kind of guide you through the pitfalls and the political and, all the bad stuff at the same time. Is it nice having that?
Yeah, it's amazing. I like when I did the bad set and I said that I wanted to do another one, they immediately signed me up for an open mic, and there wasn't any question of like, yeah, is this appropriate for her to do, or does she really want to do this? It was like, I said that I wanted to do something, and they went, yeah, clearly I really, really loved it, and so they let me do it. And
yeah,
it's been really nice to have that support.
that's
Well, because you weren't trying to be a lawyer or an accountant,
No.
right? Like, so they were like, oh, thank God.
It would not have been driven to those. But
How much influence do you have on Everything's Okay with your character?
it's in a good amount. In the second season, I got to join the writers' room, and so I got to write on a couple of episodes, which was nice to not only kind of have influence on Genevieve, but also help to write a bit for other characters.
Yeah.
But also, Josh is really, really good at taking bits of who we are as people and weaving them into our characters. Like he notices every single thing that we as actors do. So we weaved whatever, a little bit of Kayla, into Matilda, and a little bit of Adam into Alex. And so it's created these unique characters that kind of wouldn't have gone the way they've gone if we weren't playing them, which is really cool to think that if someone else was playing these characters, the show would be completely different.
Yeah. It wouldn't be the same at all. Wouldn't be as fun, I think, because it's a dramedy, and I kind of feel like sometimes I think I laugh at the most inappropriate times because I'm laughing because I'm so I remember my sister passed away back in 2000. It's been a long time, so it is what it is. But she hated the color pink. Okay. And this is my total morbid humor to myself. Well, my other sister orders the coffin, doesn't think about it, and orders it the whole inside all in pink, which my other sister, which Kathy hated. And all I can think is she's sitting in this flipping box in the ground, surrounded by pink, and just being so pissed off that this thing is pink. And I'm chuckling as I'm literally chuckling as the thing is lowering into the ground. And my mom is like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "I'm sorry, I can't." It's kind of funny. Yeah,
Really funny.
it is. I mean, to me, I don't know. And so when I'm watching you guys go through all of the things that happen, like even when you punched the guy in the stomach on the show and you're like, I lost it. I was like, oh my God, that is too funny. Because then when they had you go through and actually be in the principal's office and go through all of that. And then, and then knowing like when you guys were in New York, knowing that Matilda was going to have that breakdown at some point. Mm-hmm. Even though she was valiantly going through and making that day-to-day progression, making sure she can do all of her stops and do all the same things because she needs that support system, and then she needs it to be the same. And then realizing that she, at the end that she wasn't gonna be able to do it, it was heartbreaking. But I don't know, just like the looks on your guys' faces as she's going through everything and doing it, I was just like, oh my God, I'm starting to laugh. And I know it's completely inappropriate because I'm just thinking, well, they can't just have her go to New York. I'm telling Tafine, they can't have her go to New York at the end of the first season. She's going to come back. And then boom, the breakdown happens like 2 seconds after I say that. And I just lost it because I was like, oh my God. And I know it's so inappropriate, but it was funny.
It's so important though, to take tragedy and turn it into comedy.
Yeah.
My grandfather, who was the retired psychologist who taught me, he passed away, and I was pretty young and didn't quite know how to process grief very well.
Yeah.
My younger sister was she's a dancer, so she was like choreographing dances, and my older sister was writing songs, and all I had was comedy, and I was like, there's no way I can use that. And then I wrote a joke, and I wrote a joke about how I hate when people talk about the things that they hate. And if I just like randomly in the middle of a conversation was like, hey, you know what I really hate? Metastatic stage for brain cancer. And then that was my way of dealing with grief. So I totally understand that, taking moments of like, this doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
Comedy, because comedy, people listen when you're making them laugh.
Yeah. And I think
that's just like the art of comedy sometimes too, right? This like that you can take those moments and turn them into something where we can all laugh together in that like tragedy moment, right? So I think there's a real art to that.
Yeah. Yeah. What is your do you have a place that you love to play the most?
I don't know. I was doing a lot at Flappers out here. So I started to build a bit of a home there. So it'd be nice to get back there. But really, like anywhere. I love the more theatrical performance places, ones that are a bit more like this could put on a play the next day.
Yeah.
Definitely like those places.
Yeah. Well, when you get super big and you're selling out, you can come up and do the more theater, because the more theater is awesome for that.
So cool.
Or the Paramount, one of those two.
Awesome.
Either one is awesome. If you want to know what the Paramount looks like, go to YouTube and watch the Pearl Jam. Which video was it? Actually, just one of the Pearl Jam videos where you see Eddie Vedder like swimming the crowd. That's in the Paramount Theater, and it's a crazy place to go. And they do a lot of. I saw Jamie Foxx there, and I saw he was amazing. This is like 19. I don't know. It was in the 90s. He was hilarious. It's when he was doing his stuff, his comedy stuff, and it was really funny. But it's the same kind of thing. They do plays there, so when a comedian goes there, it feels really cool. I saw Tiffany Haddish there 2 years ago.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, it was good.
Is she gonna host the Oscars? That's what I want to know.
Tiffany Haddish?
Yeah.
Is she?
I heard a rumor she was gonna. There was like talk of her hosting the Oscars, which I was like, yes.
She was
Really? That would be good. She's funny.
Yeah.
Have you? Actually, that's a good question. Is there stars that your parents like? No, they're a little too real right now, or are you guys pretty much? It's fine.
Well, sorry. I didn't quite understand what you were asking.
Well, some people like I've seen Tiffany Haddish live, and I would never let my kid go see her until she's of a proper age. And a proper age, though, is different for every person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if your parents are like, no, it's fine, because you are in the comedy and you know what I mean? You get that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, there's no limit.
Nice.
I think because I started so young, so I was introduced to very dirty open mic New York comic.
You're right.
At a very young age. So sort of Tiffany Haddish can do her worst, and I promise you I've heard something worse. Open mic. So and so are my parents.
Who do you think is your influence?
Tig Notaro. I know we were talking about her, but definitely
Notaro is awesome.
Or Richard Pryor or George Carlin or Bill Hicks, like any of the older comics.
Yeah.
I really love early Joan Rivers. I think it's really seeing some of her earlier stuff. And then so there's a comic, Mom's Maeve, who's like known as one of the first people to really do stand-up.
Yeah.
And not a ton of her footage surviving, but she was like a Black gay woman doing comedy, which is everything that right now people are like, you're not funny because you're that.
Yeah.
It's so cool that like one of the first people to really do stand-up. I mean, she was amazing and she's so funny. And there's a couple of her records that you can get, and I've listened everything I can find on the internet, but she's so cool.
Oh, I love that you're researching and going back and learning the history. That is awesome. That is awesome. That's a love of the craft right there. I love it. Like I know, like I love Dave Chappelle and it's because I think he's so outspoken and outlandish on some of the things. And even if you don't agree with his opinion, that's what comedy's about. You know what I mean? Saying things that one, it's in your face. Two, it's things that people need to hear. And three, you might not agree, but that's what the beauty of comedy is like, I really 100% feel like no comedian should be censored on what they want to say on stage.
Did that whole set in the beginning, maybe a year ago, right after the murders of George Floyd, and he did that.
Oh yeah.
8 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm definitely butchering the name of what it was called. He did that whole set, and that was like incredible.
Yeah.
And it's bold because people a lot of times when they see comedy, they don't want to know that they're going to be taught something.
Yeah.
And they just want to go and laugh at stupid jokes. And for him to tell them, like, you're going to learn something, you're going to listen, and you have to sort of deal with that. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. It is amazing. Have you seen Tig do her stuff on Star Trek? Discovery? Is it Discovery? The one that's on the CBS app. Just go back and watch the scenes with Tig Notaro. She's awesome in it. And then I loved her show. I was really bummed when they canceled it.
The Under the Rock with they
no, that it was that what it was called?
Or is that a different
one Mississippi?
Oh, One Mississippi.
Yeah, One Mississippi. Oh God, it was so good. I love that girl, man. She's so good. She's so funny. I want to watch.
She's in Army of the Dead.
Is she? Yeah, I heard she kicked some serious butt in it.
Yeah,
I'll watch it tonight.
I haven't seen it, but I
haven't seen it
heard
either.
she's good in it.
I'll watch it just for her.
There you go.
Same.
Yeah, because Dave Bautista's in everything, so I don't really care about Not that I don't like him. I mean, he's all right. I mean, he's good, but I do want to see her because one, she's doing something that she doesn't normally do. I love people that get out of their comfort zone. I'm always down.
Really, she's a really good actress, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't remember or even think of her like she's actually a really good actress. So I'm very happy that people are coming to terms with that now and understanding it. And absolutely.
Well, Maeve, I think you guys have been on for like an hour already. Is that weird?
A minute. It
Isn't
feels
that
like it's
crazy?
gone by really quickly, though.
I got to tell you, you're one of my favorites that we've had on because I just love how open you are. And as you go through and you keep going, I hope you want to come back and just kind of BS, and you don't have to be pressing anything. Oh, I didn't do that on purpose, just so you know. You don't have to be doing, I really didn't. It just clicked that it came out that way. You don't have to be pushing anything.
To end this, though.
Right. You don't have to be pushing anything if you'd like to come back on and just hang out, because I'd love to hear your viewpoint on things. It's a weird, crazy world out there right now. And
I absolutely love to just sit here and talk about like TV and movie with you guys. You're very, very, very nice people.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Virtually met.
Well, we're gonna watch Army of the Dead. If you watch Army of the Dead, you want to come on next week or the week after when you have time, and we can do a whole thing. I might
only watch the tick parts, but perfect.
Yeah.
I'll pretend that I've seen the entire movie.
Yeah.
Try to act, and it'll be perfect.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah.